I said, thank you for being a part of the show because you are all a part of the show today. Well, you're always a part of the show, always, because what again? Let's see who will say it word first. Why are you a part of the show every day again? I'm going to wait for somebody to type in why they are a part of the show every day. I want to see who gets the right answer. Who gets the right answer? Come on now, let's go for it. Anyhow, folks, welcome aboard AVQ, El Senor Rodnan, welcome to Politics Done Right. Eric Hayes, welcome to Politics Done Right. Lee Grant, welcome to Politics Done Right. Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain, welcome to Politics Done Right, as well as E2247. Welcome to Politics Done Right. And the wonderful, the beautiful, the queen, La Reina, Bridge MCP. How are you doing today, my beautiful lady? Welcome to Politics Done Right. Michael Rodnan brought something to read. It has been a while that he has started the program with something to read, so we must honor El Senor Rodnan by reading what he brought. He says, from USA Today, Republican presidential hopefuls are vowing to wage a war on woke. But a new USA Today Ipsos poll finds a majority of Americans are inclined to see the word as a positive attribute, not a negative one. 56% of those surveyed say the term means to be informed, educated on, and aware of social injustices. That includes not only 3/4 of Democrats, but also more than a third of Republicans. Overall, 39% say instead that the word reflects what has become the GOP political definition to be overly politically correct and police others' words. That's the view of 56% of Republicans. Independents by 51 to 45 say woke means being aware of social injustice, not being overly politically correct. The findings raise questions about whether Republican campaign promises to ban policies at schools and workplaces they denounce as woke could boost a contender in the party's primary, but put them at odds with the broader public opinion in the general election. The Republican definition to police others' words need expanding on. Did you ever say something racist and or hateful? Got a lot of pushback, then got mad? Yep, whose fault is that? Really, Republicans have to understand that the majority of Americans them crusading against being woke as being against justice. Focusing on culture war nonsense rather than kitchen table economic issues is a losing position that will only get worse for Republicans over time, as we prove the axiom again that the moral arc of history bends towards justice. So true. You know, Michael, that is the best piece in a while that you have brought. I mean, you always bring good pieces, but this one is solid because I think it bears mentioning. You remember a few days ago I said, I am a proud woke person. And while they look at woke as something about injustices, you know, mostly they talk about injustices, I like to expand it because when we're talking about injustices, rarely are people thinking about an economic system as it affects not only, let's say, people of color, women, or other aggrieved identities. I want to put it into the domain that woke is also an economic term, meaning how the economic system aggrieves all except the select few. I am trying to bring us all into the same boat as we actually are. So it's important. Thank you for bringing that. That was a great piece, and it's great that Americans are not falling. But let me tell you, we have to have people who go out there and say, I'm proud to be woke. I am woke. And the reason why we need people out there saying that is remember what the Republicans have done to the word liberal. They made liberal a good thing, wanting to do right by people, wanting to liberalize. In fact, we live in a liberal democracy. That word is a good word. And for the longest time, we allowed them to turn liberal into something that means something bad, when the ones who are holding people back, by definition of the word, conservative, let's conserve, let's keep things as they were before, right? And does people like me want things like they were before? Hell no. Do I want to go back to the 60s, the 50s? No. The 40s, the 30s, the 20s? No. Only the people without empathy can say that they want to be conservatives. You know, I always found an oxymoron that any person of color can be a conservative. I always find an oxymoron that any woman can be a conservative. I always find an oxymoron that any of my white brothers can be conservative when the theories behind that way of being materially hurts them from moving forward. Not liberalism, not the woke, none of that. All these other things are trying to build everybody up. But conservatism, by definition, says, let's keep things the old-fashioned way. Let's keep things the way they were. Let's keep things the way they used to be. And in doing so, it means the only people with property or capital are really matters. And then we all come sucking and begging to the few that have. It is time to dispel that altogether. Welcome aboard as well, Paul Fleming Sr. Welcome aboard, May Wood. Welcome aboard, welcome aboard, welcome aboard. All right, let's see. Bri says, we learn the truth and also get along with all. Absolutamente sí, con mi hermana. Exactamente, correctamente, correcto. March 2023 ENSOR update. No more La Nina. Atmosphere is a little more complicated. We'll see some indications of La Nina, like strengthened water circulation. It's amazing, right? La Nina and El Nino, we don't know what it's going to be anymore. Remember, El Nino, I think, would be the dry spell, La Nina, the wet spell, or vice versa. Help me out. Remind me which one it is for the Pacific Coast. I don't remember. Anyhow. Eric Hayes says, if you change the pre-AP programs in school to bring standards down to a basic level for everyone, who benefits? Here, no one. I agree. I don't want bringing down any standard. AP courses supposed to be the difficult courses. You know, my daughter in high school here at Kingwood High, every single course that she took was AP. She was mad at us for telling her she had to do that. But we had a suggestion from a neighbor who was a teacher who told us that to qualify for the University of Texas or top university in Texas, you had to fall within the top 7%. And the only way to get there is you had to be on a lot of AP courses, because when they add up all the numbers, because the AP courses have such weight, nobody without AP courses would rarely get into the University of Texas. So I'm with you, Eric. I don't want dumbing down any AP program, and they shouldn't dumb down any AP program. So if you're trying to tell me that somewhere that's happening, I don't know. I haven't read of anywhere that's happening, but if that's the case, it shouldn't be. Egberto Willis, I would like to know what woke means to the conservatives here. Well, I heard on a station, since woke was really a black promoted moniker. I repeat, since woke was a black promoted moniker, many in the intelligentsia have been saying that was a code word to give certain people, to trigger certain people in saying, to associate that with blackness. And you know, to many, associating anything with blackness in America means to sort of demonize it. So that is what I understand in some literature that I've read. E2247 says, when will California snow melt? By September? Actually, I think it's before that, right? All of that comes down to the different rivers. And I think the spring, starting now, we're going to start seeing massive floods from rivers that are ice-fed, if I recall what I read correctly. Lee Grant says, woke suggests an obsession about social justice issues, a racial lens, and a generational guilt. Okay. I can take the first two, Lee Grant, the social justice issues and the racial lens, right? But the generational guilt, I don't want any white person to go out there feeling generational guilt. But I want every white person to understand that, in effect, compared to, and we're talking here in the aggregate, of course, right? Like, I am not going to compare myself with, let's say, a black person in the middle of the ghetto who didn't have the resources to be educated or whatever. Because I can give that person, I can go to Appalachia and find that white person who I had many economic benefits over that white person. And, for me to say, oh, I suffered all of that. The one thing, however, is here's where the racial thing comes in, Brother Lee Grant. If I put a suit on to an uneducated white brother from Appalachia, fix him up, put the suit on, nice haircut, and I put a suit on, nice, well, my hair, no haircut, but you get the point. And we both go into a bank, I can guarantee you, because it's happened before. And not only happened before, when one of my white brothers, when I told you guys the story, when my white brother went biking with me and he saw this thing occur. I go into a bank and let's say I walk in about 30 seconds before this guy. I guarantee you the person that will get the attention is the uneducated white guy from Appalachia. Now, let me tell you better. You may say, oh, but that may be anecdotal. True. That would be something anecdotal. But when you do the calculations as far as wages in this country, and you look at a college educated black person compared to, let's say, a white person that doesn't have a college education, this country's dynamics still puts, economically speaking, that white person with just a college education ahead. Can you believe that? It's all in the numbers. And that's why I tell folks, let's not listen to Fox News. Let's not listen to the fallacy that somehow people of color getting some sort of a helping hand now, or some sort of an entry into the system, that somehow it puts these other people, white people, at a disadvantage. It doesn't really, because they have already received that which we speak about. GI Bill that was not allowed by many of the black and other people of color in the military, loans, etc. I mean, it goes. And what we ask for those of us that are woke, we say all of those need to come into the number analyses, which rarely are. All right, Eric Hayes says it's proven having family meals at night are beneficial for all the family with lower problems than if you go on your own individual. Of course, family is always, that is because you get a support system, okay? Maywood says, this reminds me, had a podcast to send Egberto on this subject, not for an article or show, but rather for information, talking points, and entertainment. Thank you, Brother Wood. You sent me one that I've yet to see. Lee Grant says, woke also carries a neo-Marxist view of oppressed versus oppressor. I don't know what you mean by neo-Marxist. That Marxism points out correctly that there is an oppressed and there's an oppressor. I don't know what you would even put into that. Why would argue about that? And that I'm not even a Marxist scholar. But there is an oppressed and there is an oppressor. You go ask the indigenous people in America. You go ask all the black folks that had to raise themselves up. You ask all the Chinese folks that were brought sort of let's have the competition between these folks so that these folks don't get ahead too much. These are all documented things that you can see. In fact, you can go ahead and listen to some of the verbiage that came out of the discussion of some of these issues. You know what I love about TikTok these days? While we can't teach certain things in schools, TikTok has made a lot of things, myself as well, aware of a lot of things that I could then go ahead and do more research to validate what they were talking about. So it's important for a lot of folks to do it. You have to choose if you want to be willfully ignorant on these issues or choose that you want to be enlightened. But you can't choose to allow a Fox News to prevent you from enlightening yourself. Carl Cox says economics is a joke. Used as an excuse for the destruction of the non-mega rich. We live in a country ruled by crony capitalism, which means economy works for the mega rich corporations, which is very true. Which is absolutely true. Or Egberto, taking down pre-app is part of the woke agenda. Who told you that? Who told you that? And that's what I mean. You get all this misinformation that you believe without any valid proof. They just say poof, and you guys go run with it. Woke. Everything is woke now. The killing of the people in Mexico, woke. The banks failing, woke. It takes such limited thinking to look at that. I gave a good analysis today on my show. I should probably do it here as well. But I'm sorry. Whenever you use woke in that manner, Eric, it makes you look less than intelligent. I hate to put it that way. But it makes you sound like a parrot without any method of deep thinking. And I'm saying, grow out of it. You can. I know you personally. You're an intelligent person. Don't allow Fox News to do what they need to do to the right to ensure that we get that sort of minority rule. Don't allow yourself to get dumb, because they're doing a good job of it. Bridge MCP says the definition of woke changes depending on who you ask. The term has recently been used by some conservatives as an insult against progressive values. The term, however, was originally coined by progressive Black Americans and used in racial justice elements in the early mid-1900s. To be woke politically in the Black community means that someone is informed, educated, and conscious of social justice and racial inequality. Merriam-Webster Dictionary states one of its earliest use was in historical recording of the protest song Scottsboro Boys by Lead Belly. And in that recording, it was used as a term about staying aware of the potential for racist violence as a Black person in America. The term, in one of its contemporary meanings, began to gain more popularity at the start of the Black Lives Matter movement in 2014. But when you come with these true definitions, again, unfortunately, it gets kind of mangled. Give them a minute. They invariably will describe anything they don't like about our culture, anything to do with equity. Yeah, you're right. Daniel Ado, welcome aboard, Daniel, for being here. He says, woke is viewed as a religion by the right. Well, I feel sorry that you believe that. It's not my fault that you are uneducated. The right is uneducated on the word, but they chose to use it and run with it. So they spread their unintelligent wording around. Feel sorry for you. It's woke to attach racial motivation to anything. Wait a minute. Racial motivation. Is there anything that has racial motivation in your opinion, Lee Grant? Paul Fleming says, I sent you a video explaining woke a few days ago, and I saw it. Wait, did I see that one? Because more than one person sent me a woke video. I don't know. I'll look for it, Paul Fleming. I'll look for it. And so a single climate phenomenon, it has three states or phases it can be in. El Nino, a warming of the oceans or above average sea temperature in the central and eastern tropical. So if it's a warming of the water, that means more vapor in the air. More vapor in the air, that means more rain, right? La Nina, a cooling of the ocean or below average sea surface temperature in the central, which would bring droughts, as I recall. Paul Fleming Sr. says, just watch Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. Paul, Trading Places with Eddie Murphy I used it in one of my books. I think it's in my How to Make America Utopia book, because that Trading Places, and for anybody who knows what Trading Places is about, I'm going to say it in 2 minutes. Numero uno, Eddie Murphy was a vagabond playing like he is crippled on the street trying to collect money from people begging for money. And there was this Harvard or Ivy League educated guy who was working with his wife's family as a stockbroker and a broker of all kinds of things, orange juice, bacon, everything. And the two brothers had a bet. They bet that education, intelligence had nothing to do with race, which anybody who listens to me, I believe race is a stupid thing because there's no real race, right? My genetic differences between Brother Ledo may be very small compared to my genetic differences with my own sister. No, it's hard to believe, but that's true. All right, so here's the other interesting things, right? Here's the other interesting thing. So they made a bet, and the bet said, I bet you that it has nothing, if we culture that black vagabond appropriately, and we unculture, meaning give the white guy that was a stockbroker a bad life, make bad things happen to him, he would turn into the vagabond, and the vagabond would turn into the stockbroker. And they did it. And they magically did it. And Eddie Murphy in no time became a stockbroker, and a very successful one that was even better than the previous one and better than the two brothers. And I remember the scene in the bathroom. And this is important. I want to tell you guys this because it's prescient. After this was over, the white guy turned into a thief and all kind of stuff to survive. He had to survive. It's something Brother Rudnin speaks about all the time. Crime comes from having many times survival and then becoming a way of being, right? So the two brothers go into the bathroom, and Eddie Murphy, the new stock guy who's been successful as hell. And by the way, one other thing, Eddie Murphy developed a disdain for his old poor friends who, when they came over to his house, misbehaved, not like the upper class that he had become, but like who they always were. He kind of, that movie had so many subplots in it. So anyhow, what happened then is the brothers are in the bathroom. Eddie Murphy is in the bathroom smoking a joint, okay? And the two brothers think the bathroom is empty. And they're like, oh, I guess, Arthur, you were right. It has nothing to do with race or something like that. So you won the bet. And you know what? You know what the bet was? These are two billionaires. The bet was $1. So they destroyed a white guy's life, and they brought up a black guy's life to be a successful stockbroker. And the brother, after he paid him the $1, he said, so what are we going to do? Are we bringing back John into the corporation? They said, hell no. Look at what he did to himself. Wait a minute. Does that mean we are going to keep Eddie Murphy, whatever his name was? And the guy says, hell no. We are not going to have an N-word in this business. And Eddie Murphy heard all of this. So Eddie Murphy went and found the guy. And when he found the stockbroker that turned bad, the two of them got together. They did some magic, cornered the orange, I think it was the orange juice market or the belly market, I don't remember which one, and bankrupted. They knew how because he was on the inside. They fooled these guys into making a big bet. They bankrupted the two brothers, and those two guys became rich living in the Caribbean, both Eddie Murphy and the white guy that they messed up. But here's the kicker. Like I said, that there was so many subplots in that story. It was about what happens when you get rich if you lose your head. You forget where you come from. Number two, it showed you that crime and all these things had more to do with socioeconomic issues than anything else. Number three, it shows you how the stock market is nothing more than a gambling casino, not based on anything real. And there were about 5 of them, 5 different things, that one movie. And I wondered as I watched that movie, if those guys who wrote the movie understood what they were doing, not only on social realities, but also on economic realities, which proved that our system effectively is a fraud made to enrich the few who are part of it. I always wondered about that because it was a powerful movie. It's in one of my books. I don't remember which book I wrote it in, but it's in one of my books. Anyhow, Bruce Pollard says, I'm back for more. Let's see what else we got here. Bridge MCP says, Neo-Marxism is a Marxist school of thought encompassing 20th century approaches that amend or extend Marxism and Marxist theory, typically by incorporating elements from the intellectual traditions such as critical theory, psychoanalysis, or existentialism. Thank you for putting that out there. Michael Rudden says, Marxism always talks about the class struggle, worker class versus owner class. Why conservatives talk about Marxism without understanding that point is a matter of them being propagandized against their own interests. That is a very true statement. Let's see what else we got. Paul Fleming says, go to the library. I'm old school. There's not much more powerful than a good book. Very true. Peggy Lopez says, hi all, only here for a little bit to make a run to Chico. Thank you for being here, however time you spend with us, Peggy. Peggy also says, I still have no idea what folks are talking about when I hear someone use the word woke. Rip, just think about it. They're not really thinking about anything sensible. So don't worry about it. Coming out of the box that our mind washing has done to us is a lot of work and painful. Don't get painful. You know, a guy came and met me today at KPFT. He says he reads all my Substacks and all of that, and he just wanted to meet me. And I introduced myself to him, and he said, but sometimes I wonder how you take it. I said, there's one thing with me. Doesn't matter what you tell me. It doesn't matter how you tear me down. I never get torn down, ever. There's nothing you can say to me that's going to stop me from moving ahead in this project of making us a better country. Just me. And what I'm saying, there are hundreds, thousands of folks trying to do this. I'm just one of the many. And there's nothing that will stop me other than death or incapacity. Nothing will stop me. Because when I left my company, when I left the company that I created, this was the goal. The goal was to be able to survive doing this and making it forward. In other words, it wasn't about asking, and this is what I told him. I told him I used to, when I was doing my thing, I used to constantly ask, why? Why don't somebody do something about that? And then I finally said, what the hell are you talking about? Who's that other somebody? Somebody got to be somebody. Somebody had to be Martin Luther King. Somebody had to be Malcolm X. Somebody had to be any one of these people that made a difference in society. And I'm not trying to equate myself with any of these guys in the least. That would be completely, conceited. But I'm saying I can do my little micro part, and that's what I intend to do. Let's see what else we got. Norman Reynolds is in the house. He says the woke haters would want you to ignore history, generational poverty, malnutrition, or all the fault of the individual and one's family. Oh, how much time do I have? Oh, man, I didn't realize that. How much? Yeah, okay. I'm going to have to play the video right now, folks. I'm going to finish reading this because I want you to see what happened to a woman here in Kingwood, and then I'll finish these up after this program. So let's go there. Let's go listen, and I'll continue reading what I have here, but let's go listen to what's her name? Luisa Fernanda Montoya. Montoya? Okay, let's go ahead and listen to her. What is your name, ma'am?
Luisa Montoya.
Luisa, how long have you lived in Kingwood, Texas?
We just moved here 6 months ago.
And did you meet your neighbors as you came here and started to move in, or?
No, we moved here from Miami.
Uh-huh.
We moved 6 months ago. Moved with a giant big truck, and everything was fine at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
With them.
And when you came here, is there anything special that you did that made you distinguishable from anybody else around here?
Yeah, so when I moved here, I noticed that, of course, we were on a political campaign. Everybody had their signs with overboarding. So I thought at the moment that, how welcoming, right? You can put it in your front yard.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that. So I decided to put our gay flag,
mm-hmm.
and we put a political sign.
Mm-hmm. And did the neighbors respond to that at all, or?
Well, that's where the nightmare began.
Okay.
The first thing started by they were ringing at our door multiple times, and at the beginning, because when you just move, you are unpacking and doing things, so we didn't pay that much attention. Started bothering us. Our 2 kids who are part of the school district started getting bullied, calling derogatory names. Then that's when everything started. Then on October, they put toilet paper on their house.
When you say toilet paper in your house, what do you mean?
Like all over the house.
On your house and the plants and so forth.
Yeah, they put it everywhere.
Right.
So the following day, I knocked at the window because I didn't have cameras at the time. So I went around and I asked the neighbors, and everybody said, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, we saw that happened to you. Nobody helped me. I guess nobody had cameras." So I went and purchased the cameras. I put them around the house. Then a couple days after, and I called the police. They said that was not a crime. I have to wait until there was a crime to happen. So
the police told you that somebody vandalizing your property was not a crime.
Yeah, they say that was not a crime. Then that's what happened. Then one day a man was recording my house.
You saw a man outside?
Yeah, the camera recorded me.
On your flag or what?
It was recording my entire house.
Okay.
So I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt, and I contacted the agency that I used to rent this property, and I asked them, "Oh, do you think maybe it was the owner of the house who was recording the house?" And she explained me that I know they have multiple properties. She said, "Let me do some background and say maybe if we send someone." And she told me no. She said she was the one who told me call the police. So I called the police. The same thing. "Oh, that's not considered a crime. You have to wait until a crime happened to you." Yeah. Then last week, my kids continue getting bullied at school. I removed the little one, the 12-year-old. I removed him from the school district. Couple of things happened, and I talked to the school. They didn't do anything. I just feel it so much. So I removed him from the school district. Then last week, as we were here at the house, and someone broke our window. I thought at the moment that my kids broke something in the house. I hear a lot of glasses. So I thought maybe they were doing the dishes and they broke something. And my 17-year-old came super pale. And that's when he said someone just broke in. So he said, "I'm going to go and see who did it." Because this entire time, we don't have anyone. They are harassing us, they are causing us, they are bullying us, but we don't have names. We don't know who is doing this. So my kid got out of the house to see who did it.
Right.
And he found them, and now they started bullying him.
I see, got you. That's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah, and they, with their bikes, they were hitting him with their bikes. So that's when I started going really slow, and they split on two. So one of half of the group kept bullying my kid, and the other half was going the other way. So I went really slow. And one of them realized that I was connected with the crime that just happened.
Right.
And he started screaming and telling them something, so they started going on their bikes. So I had the windows down already, so I started honking and asking for help. So I was screaming, please, someone help me. I have been a victim of crime.
And this happened right on the street?
Yeah. I hate crime. A car was coming, so I parked in certain way that car in front of me had to stop, so I get out of the car. That's when I knew that these young adults were from the neighborhood because they disappeared.
Right.
Like they knew the neighborhood. So I was crying, shaking, and I told these people who were coming from the car, I said, please call the police. You have to help me.
Did anybody call the police?
So my 12-year-old that stayed on the house called the police, and those neighbors called the police as well. So they called the police, and this person realized that on his bike he wasn't going to get so far. I think the bike was too big for him. Right? So he just left the bike and got into one of the houses. So I'm screaming, please call the police. So I hear this person say, hey, I'm with the police already. They say that someone already called. And I say, yeah, that's my child who called. Have they dispatched anyone? And she said, no, they haven't. Yeah, which created a huge concern because my 12-year-old had called at the moment that we left.
Right.
He called the police, but they didn't dispatch anyone.
Right.
So this person says, he's on their way. And I said, okay, someone help me. The bike is there, and I knew that was the evidence. I say that bike.
It has your fingerprints.
And serial number too, right? Bikes have serial numbers with the owner, and I knew that was the evidence, the only evidence I have to resolve this hate crime that has been coming for months. I grabbed the bike, I put it on the trunk, then he came back from nowhere and started pushing me.
Okay, this young man
the bike
actually touched you.
Yeah.
And he pushed you.
Yeah. Multiple times. I mean, you can see I have bruises.
Right.
He kept pushing me, I keep standing out. He keep pushing me. The person who called the police is surprising that they did nothing. They keep telling him like, stop it, don't do it, but they didn't do anything, right? So I'm shaking, remember, and I tried to get my phone. I recorded him when he was leaving, and he covered his face, so he knew what he was doing was so bad. So he covered his face, and he left. So I came to my house, which is super close. Then finally I get to my house, and I was really scared because how they disappear. I was thinking, okay, I have a 17-year-old.
Right.
And I have a 12-year-old. And as a mother, it's like, who do I choose in this second? Right? They are hitting my 17-year-old.
Or your 12?
My 12-year-old. So at the time, I say, let me go and get the 12-year-old. So I drove here to my house. I parked in my house. So I started knocking super loud, so he knew that I was here, or in case someone was beating him up, he knows, right? My mom is here. So I started honking. Then he got out of the house. And the owner of the bike showed up again, and that's when he went with everything that he had, pushing me.
The owner of the bike?
Yeah, he appears from nowhere.
And you had his bike?
So I park, right? And I get out of the car to see my 12-year-old. And the owner shows up again, and that's when he went with everything, pushing me. I got the phone again, and I'm screaming, and that's the little video that we have with his face, the best thing that we can do, because in those moments you really are scared. And he started pushing my 12-year-old.
Your 12-year-old, so this is right here in the garage now. I mean, in the driveway here. Yeah. He pushed you down. Yeah. That was actually an assault on both your kid and yourself. Did this kid get arrested? Mm-hmm. Did the police show up?
So my 17-year-old showed up, right? And my 17-year-old is screaming, let my mom go. He finally leaves, right? So we called the police. The police showed up. So I'm shaking, and I'm telling the story. And she said, do you have the video? And I showed the video, and the first thing she said was like, oh, this is a Hispanic kid.
Wait, first of all, why did that matter to them?
Because for them it did. And I told her, I said, no, that's not a Hispanic kid. And she said, she's trying to put words on my mind, right? Yeah. And she said, yeah, he has dark skin. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that you're Hispanic. He's not. But
my question is, that was a police officer?
Yeah.
And the police officer, as you're reporting this kid and telling the kid, showing her the video of the kid, her first words were that this was a Hispanic kid. What did that have to do with you being assaulted?
Thank you. What is that?
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding you right. Yeah. After you showed the video, this cop just said that's a Hispanic kid that was assaulting you. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I do report that is upsetting and is frustrating. Anyway, so she took the information, right? And she leaves. My husband at the time was in Miami anyway, so we are all crying in the house, right? We are panicking, PTSD, everything that you can imagine that we are going through.
Take your time.
2 days after, we are here in the house, and I heard someone ringing, right? And now we are in panic mode. And I see on the ring, right? And I see these 3 young adults. So I answer. They hear I have an accent. And the first thing they say is, are you a retard? And I say, I need you to leave. I'm going to call the police. And that's when they say, you FB, we're going to bump your house. I need you guys to leave now. I'm going to call the police.
Are you retarded? You a dumbass bitch. Yeah, fuck you. Hey, fuck you. Don't take his bike, bitch. We'll fucking buy your house.
And these three young adults, did you know who they are?
One of them identified as being the stepbrother of the owner of the bike.
And so they knew the owner of the bike. And now, does your son know any of these people at school or anything?
Mm-hmm. No, they just have been bullying us since we put the flag.
So they're not associated per se with your kid. They're just here to bully you because you have a flag.
Mm-hmm.
And now, how are the police officers responding now that we've had a second attempt?
The police officers, it can be very challenging because the way that they handle it, the lack of empathy. I have feel when I called them, for example, yesterday there was another incident, and I was just asking her if I can have the little piece of paper that they are giving me. And she got very frustrated with me. Even that she was raising her voice, and I said, you don't have to raise your voice.
Wait, explain. What do you mean by you call them another incident?
Yeah, so more incidents have happened. We have another one with the owner of the bike trying to break into our garage. So I called. There have been 5 incidents in a week now.
This week?
Yeah, so the last one that happened is that they came with a megaphone at 11:30 p.m. and they were calling us the F slur. And we are outside, it's against the LGBTQ community. There's no doubt. And when I called the police, because every time I do a report, they give me the report, the little paper. So I asked her yesterday if I can have a new one, and she got very frustrated, and she started raising her voice on me, and I told her I just want a paper trail of what has happened. I just need that, and she was very frustrated. So with the police officer has been a challenge. With the investigators have been a whole different feeling. They have been here, they spend time with us, they show empathy, they care, they follow up. So it has been a whole different experience with both teams.
It almost seems as if they were appeasing those who came. And
I think the frustrating part has been for me, I don't know how to address this. If someone tells me, I'm going to bomb your house, I believe that.
Right.
I believe
it's actually a terroristic threat.
Yes.
That is it's defined as a terroristic threat. And I told that,
so when I made the phone call and the police officer came back, which was the first one, the same person who told me about the Hispanic kid, I showed her the new video, and she said, they're not going to bomb your house. And I say, I'm telling you, I'm scared. I believe if they have done so much, they keep coming back, and they're telling me they're going to bomb my house. I believe they're going to bomb my house.
Well, it's not only that. It's the fact that we have the same young adults come into your home again.
Yes.
And the police officers seemingly not doing nothing, which encourages them to do it again because it shows a lack of respect for a community member. This is an issue with the police department as well. Because if certain young people did this, I would imagine that there would be other types of responses, don't you think?
It's so big because it's the school system that didn't help me. It is the police, the frustration. When you have an accent, you get treated so disrespectful. And I can guarantee if I look different, if I talk different, and if they look different, it will be so different. And to have the police officer trying to convince me to say that I was a Hispanic kid, to try to have the police officer to tell me they're not going to bomb your house. Really? Because they look like that? Right? Because these ones don't look Hispanic, right? So when the first one looked Hispanic, she wanted to take a different approach. But this one now don't look Hispanic at all. Now she's like, oh, you're fine. No.
Well, just as a matter of information for you, I also live in Kingwood, and this is 10 now. And my house was actually firebombed. So for them to tell you that it wouldn't happen, they do it here.
I don't want to be part of the statistics. I don't want to be part of the data. I don't want that. We are doing nothing. The worst thing that I have done, being a proud parent of my kids who are part of the LGBTQ community, and I adore those kids, and I'm gonna fight with them. I mean, look, I got beat up.
Have you filed charges yet?
They told me I have to wait. So I asked them, I said, I'm really worried. I haven't even left my house. I'm a runner. I like to run, and I haven't even gone out to run because I'm so scared. I am so scared. And I asked them, what is the next step? And they said, you just have to wait. We're going to do all the process, and we're going to let you know what are the next steps. And that's the process where I am right now. What is next? What am I going to do next? But it's moving so slow. And having them with the megaphone last night.
Last
night when they came back, yeah. Yesterday they came 3 times.
How did the neighbors respond? Did anybody come over and give you any sort of consolation? So
the first thing I have to say is, when you hear me screaming, why you didn't get out? When you hear me screaming, help me, why nobody got out? I only had one neighbor that actually has reached out to me. She even brought me donuts. That was really cute of her. She came back yesterday because she saw one of the young adults running. She saw him running, so she came. But everybody else, what is interesting is, on Halloween, we were so excited walking on the neighborhood, right? And I saw a neighbor and I said, oh yeah, we just moved in. And she said, yeah, you guys are the ones with the gay flag. I just want to add, why do you hate my kids? They haven't done anything wrong, nothing wrong. And if you have all of your signs saying, Jesus loves you, then what about if you start by loving my kids? That's all I have to say.
We have a lot of Jesus thumping people who do nothing that Jesus would stand for.
We absolutely so. Anyway, folks, first of all, Norman says the woke haters would want you to ignore history, generational poverty, malnutrition, or all the fault of the individual and one's family, not because of denial of opportunity to ancestors preventing wealth, which can be generally demonstrated. I spoke about that at KPFT. I was going to speak about it today, but it kind of got out of hand with me listening to this is y'all's show, so I had to do what you guys wrote about, but I'll try to talk about that tomorrow. Anyhow, let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else we got here. I'm gonna have to skip some of yours. Some's in here. There's one that I want to hit up. Daniel Ledo says, and here is Egberto trying to make the movie about race. It was not about race, it was about class. But by now, we all know Egberto will lie and mislead to forward propaganda. So what I decided to do while I was watching this or playing this for you guys is just show you how, again, Brother Daniel Ledo shoots from the hip, but I want to make sure other people are well aware of what the reality is. This is a clip that I told you guys about. Remember, Daniel says it's not about race, right? Check this out.
You mean keep Valentine on as managing director?
Do you really believe I would have a nigger run our family business, Randolph?
Of course not. Neither would I.
Okay, so let's go ahead, Mr. Ledo. It's definitely not about race, Mr. Ledo. It's definitely not about race. You know how Egberto would lie to you, right? Egberto will lie to you. It's not about race. Sir, the great thing about the world today is you can have your proof right then and there. And Bruce got upset Whatever happened to Jamie Lee Curtis? I love Jamie Lee Curtis. She was one of my number one. I mean, I always thought she was fine, right? Jamie Lee Curtis was a part of the movie. I think she played a prostitute in that movie, or that the guy went to when he lost. I don't remember if she was a prostitute or a girlfriend, something like that in the movie. And yes, Michael, you're right. It was Trading Places was with the orange juice commodities that they cornered. Let's see what else I have here. I have the movie on DVD, and your version of the movie is wrong. No disrespect meant. You're wrong on this rare occasion. Actually, I watched the movie several times. What am I wrong about in the movie at all, Mr. Carl Cox? I'm curious to find out. Okay, it's a commodities market trader, not... that! I told you I wasn't sure about if it's a market trader or... I thought it was a stockbroker or something like that, but you said it's a commodities market trader. I stand corrected. No joint smoked in the movie. Actually, Eddie Murphy was smoking something on the toilet, and he ate it. If you remember the part of the movie, look for it. After they came into he was smoking a joint, and when they came into the bathroom, he burnt his tongue swallowing the joint. Take a look at it again and come back again. Anyway, let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming says, when you are comfortable in your own skin, no one can influence you. That's very much true. Egberto, that was terrible with Luisa. That is so true. They told Luisa, a whole bunch of folks who saw Luisa's post, they told her to contact me. And so she actually, then they told her to contact me, and then they contacted me. And I said, you know what, I'm contacting her right away. So I called her Saturday, and then I said, we need to talk about this today if you have the time. She said, come on over. So I had a few things to do, then went over. I had a HPJC meeting, and after the HPJC meeting, Houston Peace and Justice Center, then went over there and did the interview with her. So yeah, that was horrible. We also have, let's see what else. The police officers in her case only served, well, we know that. That's something we know about. Yes, seriously, I would have and done it. New York babes. I know you wouldn't have taken that breach, but she's not. She doesn't have your fortitude, because I know you would have laid those guys down low. Breach says, Egberto Willis laughing my you-know-what off. Got a FB violation. Community standards were saying I would beat them. Oh, my God. Sorry you got that beautiful. Carl Cox says, these punks are fascist trash. I won't say the others. Macron says, Facebook doesn't understand the difference between exasperation and genuine threat of violence. Make sure and complain about it so it doesn't stay on your record, Breach. Make sure and say that it was a phrase that you use. All right, Daniel Ledo takes exception to this. He said, when I said firebomb, I was a liar. It was a bottle rocket. Such an effing liar, he calls me, right? A liar because I tell you my home was firebombed. Fire in the candles that they shoot off, bombed because it was bombed. There was no lie about that. It's amazing how Ledo, and let me just show you guys something else, because a lot of times, when people make silly statements like that, right? It is good to refute them, not because because you really have to, but just because it's a good thing to do. So here's what I'm going to do. Another thing for your consumption, for those that are watching that don't necessarily see, this is how what happened to my home was reported by, I think it was, I don't remember which station this was. Check it out.
A man in Kingwood caught someone on tape using fireworks to attack his home. The homeowner didn't want to talk about it on camera, but his neighbors have plenty to say. Here's KHOU 11 News reporter Rux Russell.
Along the tree-lined streets of a neighborhood known for its quiet nature.
Not something you expect in the suburbs.
Noise over a brazen prank few here can understand.
It's really quiet out here. I mean, with my dog and my 2 kids, and you definitely don't expect that happening.
We traveled to Kingwood after a homeowner sent us this surveillance video recorded late Sunday night by a camera in front of his house. You can see an intruder placing a fireworks rocket in one of the homeowner's trees. Moments later, it ignites, sparking a chain reaction of bright flashes that lit up the night sky.
That's awful, yeah.
We shared the video with people who live near the home where it happened.
I am really shocked. I can't believe that they would they would do something like that. That was personal property mailbox, and seemed older and seemed hateful to me.
A sentiment shared by the victim, a well-known political activist in Kingwood, who told us the person who did this could have hurt someone. And that's why Houston police are trying to locate the man responsible for the fireworks.
I mean, he'll be in shock.
That frayed a lot of nerves. In Kingwood, Rux Russell, KHOU 11 News.
So let me just tell you, that was very dangerous. My daughter, when it happened, was at home then screaming. She thought, I mean, you would not imagine all those rockets that normally goes up into the sky and explode. They all exploded at my door. Do you know those big, the size of the rocket was this size, right? Huge. And you had a whole bunch of the Roman or whatever candles coming out and blowing on the home. So Daniel Ledo can decide to say that it wasn't firebombed. I will repeat, that was firebombing my home. They came to my home. So what I told Luisa is, if they threaten to firebomb your home, don't just think that it won't. Can't do that there. Don't think that for some reason, because they say that, the cop, that won't happen. They won't do that. Well, they did it. And that wasn't a kid who did that. That was not a kid. That was a man that walked. That was not a kid. All right, let's be very careful about that. Anyhow, folks, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to ask you guys to please support the program. We cannot do this at all without you. We cannot do this at all without you. So I want to ask you so kindly to support the program. And what I'm doing right now is I'm getting those links for you. Please go ahead. If you're so inclined, please remember to support us at Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/patron. I need some patrons right now, politicsdoneright.com/patrons. But if you want to find all the different ways in which you can support our program, go to politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support. And, then you'll be able to help make a difference. Got a rocket with DLs. Stop it, Bridge. Stop it. Daniel Ledo, accusations in the mirror and persecution complexes run through people like it. It's amazing because, we showed the evidence about the movie. We showed the evidence about the firebombing. So, the idea is what I tell you. I got to get out of here, but before I leave, I want to tell you guys one thing. Always remember this. One of the problems that progressives have is they don't refute these guys at every time. You can do it with civilly and with this to just prove how they are themselves wrong and lying. And that's what we do. Anyway, please support the program. Again, go to politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.